Good morning, welcome back to the brewery. If you haven't been before, I'm Andy. We're Four Priests Brewery, small family-run brewery, Middlewich in Cheshire. If you've been following along for a while, you'll know that this floor in the brewery has been pissing me right off. So today is the day we finally earned enough money to get it done properly. So with the help of Sandbach Resin floors, we're getting it done today. We've moved the entire contents of the brewery into the taproom area now, so again, I'm really pleased we've got this space to be able to even do this. We wouldn't have been able to do it before. So we cleared the floor completely. If you remember, when I put this drain in, it's probably my fault. Well, it's definitely my fault. It falls the wrong way, doesn't it? So they're going to solve that little problem for me as well while they're here. And then grind this floor, smooth, and then put the surface on. Right, we are plus 1 hour. The lads have been busy grinding and chipping and smashing the floor up. There was a lot of self-leveler down, which they really didn't want to pour or fit the polyurethane floor over. Looks a bit like this. I think I'll keep these as a souvenir actually, but this self-leveler, it was so loose. They smashed it all out with a hammer now, but you really don't want to put the polyurethane floor over the top of that. It'll just pull it right up again. We're back down to the original concrete base now, nice and smooth. And in a few minutes, they're going to start mixing this lot. So what we've got is this polyurethane aggregate here, which looks a bit like sort of coarse cement. Then over here, we've got the hardener, like an epoxy hardener. And here we've got the pigment. And you'll see one of these has been opened previously, but we're going for this sort of brick red colour, which isn't in keeping. Sorry, Liv, isn't in keeping with the branding guidelines for the brewery. But he did me a deal, so I can't turn that down. Don't really care what colour it is, if I'm honest, as long as I can clean it. Halfway there, a little more than halfway actually, because that drain is not quite in the middle. Also, I mentioned about sorting out this fall rather than pull it out and try and refit it. Use the same product in the drain to actually build a fall into it. If you can see now, it's shallow there and drops away. So that should really help us. And there's no problem using that because it's resistant to the chemicals and products that we use in here anyway. But definitely will make getting the liquid out of the building a lot more easy than it has been. What I have been doing is flushing this every single night, jet wash from that end, push it all the way down there. Again, adds another 15-20 minutes to the clean-up time. This little affair you can see here is the drain from the sink in the tap room side. Nearly there now. We've just got that little corner to do over there. And we're pretty much done. Apparently I can walk on it tomorrow. I don't know if I'm going to dare do that, but apparently I can walk on it tomorrow. And within a couple of days we can get all this kit back on it. Obviously it's quite heavy. And I'm definitely going to be dragging it across because I don't want to mark this lovely finish, but this edge now is tapered off, so we can still get the pallet truck on it and roll the tanks into their positions. But now I've got to decide whether I'm going to put everything back in the same place or not. So I'm going to give that some thought this evening and try and decide whether we want to change the layout a little bit. I was quite happy how it was, but maybe with some stuff in different locations we can get even better use of the space. I'll have a think about that. And that's it, all done, finished, installed. I've got to put I can't walk on it yet because it's still not cured enough to walk on, but I've got to get the grids back in on top of that channel. But I'm really pleased with it. It's still shiny in places, which means it's still wet. It dries a matte finish, but I'm dead impressed with it. And the way that they've tapered it off here means I can still get the little pallet truck thingy on there as we put the tanks back. So now it's empty. We've got the opportunity to do any little bits of maintenance, and the state of that pipe there on the wall, oh my goodness me, what is going on there? That was hidden behind the sink, so I'm going to box that in and put a bit of insulation in the trunking just to make it a bit neater, sort the pipe work out on that hand washer as well. All the little jobs I've not been able to do because I couldn't get behind things, we may as well do them now before we put all the tanks back, which are currently in there. And then we'll get them in and get the floor wet. I'm quite excited. One day later, it's cured enough to walk on, but that's all. Can't do much else with it at the moment. It's nice and hard, but I wouldn't want to put anything too heavy on it just because I don't want the impressions from the feet to sort of dig in. So we're still going to leave that until the weekend. So I've just come down after work to take a look, and we've got a couple of little issues to deal with. Nothing major, all part of the process. Let me show you. First is I've just snapped these covers back in, and unfortunately this massive fall that he's put in, sort of very deep fill that end, tapering down to nothing over there, still not enough. It's very deceptive how much of a slope this building's on, but it is definitely I'm going to measure it one day. We'll get a laser level in here, I'll show you. But it's way off. Anyway, it's mostly running out. There's just a couple of millimetres left in the bottom there. I'm kind of happy with that. It should be easy to clean up. So the covers are in, it all fits. I've had to chip away some of the residual polyurethane with some tools there, just so I could get the covers back in. But they're in now, nice and snug. So quite happy with that. And actually, are very slightly below the level, mostly below the level of the floor. So we can squeegee it in, any spills and stuff. Paul from Sandbach, Paul from Sandbach Resin Floors has given me an old, well, it's not an old squeegee, it's quite a new squeegee, it's just a bit dirty. So he's given me a squeegee to aid with that. So that's going to be fantastic when we start spilling stuff on it. You'll notice some tissues here. We've had this perpetual ingress of water here, which I've not got around to fixing because I couldn't get outside. Well, I can get outside, but I can't get down the side because it's blocked. One end it's blocked with the heat exchanger, which I've put in a stupid place for the tank cooling equipment, and at the other end a couple of Mike's oil drums. So I'm gonna have to wait till he next gets his oil drums emptied and then sneak down. In the meantime, what we need to do, I think, is run a bead of silicone. I'll probably use one that Harry recommended actually. It's the Plumber's Gold, which I've used before on a few things, and it works in the wet and it's just good stuff basically. So we'll run that down just to minimise the opportunity for water to get in. What's happening is it's cascading down the side of the building because there's no gutter. It's running down the side of the building and down the outside of the building, down. And then where these panels are going into the ground, they're bedded into mortar. And it's blown in the frost, so instead of it washing away from the building, it sort of runs towards the building, down the panel, it seeps in between the panel and the mortar, and then leaks back up. So at least with a seal on the inside, it should stop it coming in, I hope. And if not, then we just need to somehow find a way to get past the oil barrels and in. But other than that, I'm really pleased with it. It's finished really well. It's nice and smooth as I wanted it. The jury's out on the colour. Sarah said it looks hideous, but and Liv doesn't like it because it's not part of the branding thing that she did for us. And you know, maybe they're right. However, we're not made of money, and the best price was for this colour, so that's what we've got. I like it. I think I'm getting used to it now. When the tanks are in, I think it's going to look good. So let's talk about the tap room. We've opened 3 times now. You've seen some videos, but I've not really gone into much detail about what's what with the tap room opening. So we've opened 3 times. The first time was the Middlewich Ale Trail. This was an event in partnership with 4 other places, 5 in total. It was organised by the Round Table. You got a little card, and each time you went into one of the 5 bars, you would get it stamped with that venue's stamp. And when you had a full card with 5 stamps, you could choose to go back to any of the 5 and get your free pint, or just stay where you are and get a free pint, whatever takes your fancy. For that weekend, so this was basically a Saturday, and then we opened on the Sunday as well. We took about £2,200 over the bar, easily covering the costs, and we made a reasonable chunk of money from that. And it put us on the map a little bit, because people that didn't know we existed, because we hadn't up until that point, we'd never opened to the public, so pretty much everybody had a first opportunity to come and have a beer at the brewery with us, and mostly locals, but a few people had travelled in, a few YouTube subscribers, thank you for coming, came along as well, and yeah, it was a great weekend. Happy with that, but I couldn't get a read for like how many people would have come were it not fueled by the whole event. The other pubs, people were coming because they had to come, because that's the only way that they could get their stamp. So it was good for us in some respects. Customers discovered us, but in other ways, I was no clearer about how many people might turn up if we just throw the doors open at the weekend. Second event was the Folk and Boat Festival a couple of weeks ago, and again, it's fake numbers. These are people that have travelled into town, boaters that have arrived in town, the floating market people, as well as all the local residents as well. But it certainly gave us some visibility, gave us a bit of a lift. Customers were seeing us on social media, or other people were talking about us. We leafleted the whole town as well. And we had a good weekend, but considerably less than we'd expected to take. That weekend we took about 3,600 over the bar, pounds. Sold a chunk of beer, but it was a loss-making weekend for us. When you consider the cost of the things that we bought to support the weekend, £500 for Portaloos, £500 on staff costs. I bought £1,650 worth of lager. I bought about £700 worth of wine and cider. So you can see quickly how those costs rack up. And in terms of on the day, the profit was like minus £1,000 approximately. But what we did end up with is all of the residual stock that wasn't sold because of the weather in the main. All that residual stock is basically bought and paid for in the cold room. So about 8 kegs of the lager left, 1 keg of the cider left, and half of the wine. So my thoughts turned to like, okay, we got to make that money back. We need to open again. But as an experiment, we didn't really shout about the date. There was one post, an event that I put on Facebook to say we're open. It was the 5th, 6th, and 7th. I think I mentioned it in this video as well. 5th, 6th, and 7th of July. Come on down, and then we shut up about it because I wanted to get an idea of exactly how many people would show up just because it's us and we're a brewery. And we served 650 drinks over the weekend and took about £2,600 over the bar. And pretty much all of that beer was already paid for. So that's allowed us to get some cash in the bank, which we can use for things like the floor. I desperately need a glass washer so we can move away from plastic cups. I was able to compensate a couple of people that came in and helped us run the bar as well, rather than expecting volunteers, which we have done so far in the main. So it's sort of working now. The trade sales that we have so far, we've never had to invest any additional cash into the business from the week that we started. It's covered its own costs since that date, but we've never really made a profit as such, due to the reinvestment of every penny that we've made back into equipment. But this gives us the ability now to start to replace some of the equipment if we can continue to hold open days, tap room days, and we get that sort of level. Yes, it's the summer, but it was raining. I think once the sun's out, we should get even more people in, I think, and we can really start to make some improvements to the equipment that we have. So next opening, 26th, 27th, 28th of July, we'll have Murgy Straight on cask, Moston Dragon on cask, Cross Stout on cask and keg. We'll have Get Locky on cask and keg. We're going to have the Tegensee lager, the Helles lager that I drink when I'm in Germany. That's the one that we bought here. Best lager in the world. It's amazing. A nice fruited cherries and berries cider from Lily's. And then we've got a selection of wines. We've got Shiraz, Pinot Grigio. We've got a Zinfandel. We've got another rosé, I think there's another Chardonnay, another white, anyway. And we're in conversation currently with a local organisation. I'll reveal them later, but a local organisation that makes gin and spirits locally on a narrowboat in the canal. And the infusions that they made are made mostly from foraged ingredients that they collect up and down the towpath. So we're looking at getting them in on probably the Saturday the 6th. Sorry, Saturday the 27th of July. They're going to come in with some samples and just circulate around the customers and see if people like their product, with a view to us stocking it. So watch this space for details on them as well. Moving into August, the sun hopefully will be shining, all the canal boats will be in town, everybody's off school and work. So we're going to make the most of August, and we're planning to open the tap room every August weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So if you get the opportunity, you want to come and take a look around the place, say hello, please do. We'll be open every weekend in August. Opening hours, 4 p.m. on Friday till 10, noon until 10 on Saturday, and noon until 6 on Sunday. But yeah, please come down. It'd be great to meet some of you. We get a lot of comments on the channel, and I always try and reply to everybody. But it would be great to meet some of you in person. Don't forget, if you're a subscriber, tell them at the bar, I'm a subscriber, and they'll give you 10% off. That is it for today. I look forward to seeing you soon. Take care of yourselves. Bye.